Hi everyone, I'm going to share with you kind of how I square up these large quilts because I get a lot of questions on how I square them up. So usually these are quite a bit bigger with the fabric, and so it doesn't fit nicely on your mat no matter how big your mat is. So what I typically do is I'll fold the quilt in half, and it doesn't matter which way you do it. But what I try to do is, since this is an even design, I try to make sure that the design is even, so that my stems here are kind of equidistant, and I folded them on those stems. So this works best when you've got some sort of a design that's symmetrical. So I'll trim one side off, and I usually trim it generously. So I give myself like 2 inches from the edges of my quilting, and then I'll do the same thing on that other side. Then, imagine this, I fold it in half the opposite direction. Okay, and then what I'll do is line it up along the edge of my mat, because now I have it somewhat reasonably sized. There's not lots of extras on it. All right, and what I do from that point is I usually measure from the center to the edge. Okay, and I find out, am I relatively straight across this edge here? So this edge here, you kind of want to make sure that this edge is straight along here and then parallel on this other side. So you're going to have to move it back and forth to measure between here and here. Once you know those are even, take a measurement. Okay? When you take that measurement, you want the same measurement on this side. So the same distance you have from here to here, you want from here to here. Now, I don't cut that directly. I'm not that confident, I'll be honest with you. I use an air erase marker, and I'll mark that spot, and I'll kind of draw a line. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. And I usually hope that it's going to work out pretty well. Now, you could draw a line and you could still end up with a very crooked quilt. So I typically will lay a ruler on the corner to make sure it works. Now, if you want to know if you've actually got it straight, okay, I typically leave that extra couple inches, because if you've got to tweak it, you want some room to tweak it. So what should happen is that when you fold your quilt in half both ways, you should kind of have what you would think of as a perfect square, and you can put your ruler up against it. Now it may not fold perfectly perfect because of your applique. That's going to try and prevent it, but you should be pretty close, as you can see here, to having the edges done. Now the other thing that you want to make sure of, because that still could be crooked, is when you fold it in half diagonally, okay, and then you fold it in half diagonally again, okay. When you do that, you should have pretty even ends as well. And this, if you were to put a ruler on it, okay, should come out pretty well square. Now, the reason I measure from the center is this is a medallion, and even if I get it square, if my medallion is off center, it's not going to look right. So that's why, we do the measures from the center, make sure the corners are square, then make sure that really all of our edges are truly square. So just some ideas. I hope this helps you.